I, male 27, was devastated when my brother died 4 years ago. He was a big part of my life, and I didn't know how to handle it at the time. Instead of opening up about my trauma, I started pushing everyone around me away and lost motivation. The real nail in the coffin was when I was let go from my job after the company struggled financially. I was almost 24 at the time. I was broke, had a mild alcohol problem, and was legitimately depressed. I was humiliated to tell anyone about losing my job, and I was couch surfing for a bit. Finally, my sister-in-law, 34, and the mother of my nephew and niece found out about my situation. I moved in with her and my nephew and niece after she told me I could stay with her until I figured out stuff. She told me I could pay her back by babysitting the kids and giving them rides to school until I found a job. It ended up being helpful staying with her. She pitied me and saw a younger version of my brother in me. She took care of me and helped me deal with many of my emotional issues. She always lent a shoulder to cry on, and she was like the sister I never had. To be clear, there was never any romantic or physical aspect to our relationship. She was just helping out someone she saw her husband in. I saw her as the big sister I never had. I ended up staying with her for nearly 2 years. Well, I never told my parents I was living with her. They assumed the worst when I told my parents that I was living with her. They assumed I was involved with her, then without asking or consulting with me, they told everyone. I tried to do damage control, but they ruined my reputation. My immediate and extended family treated me like a monster for a while and acted like I betrayed my brother. Eventually, I convinced them that there was no dating and that she was just helping me out. I never forgave my parents for this. Since then, I've moved out. My sister-in-law and I decided it was best for me to find my own place. Shortly after finding a place, I met my girlfriend. We've been dating for a year and a half now. Last month, we found out she's pregnant. It's been an emotional roller coaster. We decided that she was moving in with me. We're going to start our family together. My parents have wanted to meet my girlfriend, and I don't want them to be involved in my kids' lives. I know it's a little selfish not to want them involved, but they ruined my life at one point. Last night, they called me wanting an explanation for why I've been so distant. I explained, and they blew up on me. They claim I'm holding a grudge over a misunderstanding. So, am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Why the heck did they jump to the worst case scenario and proceed to spread that crap to others instead of talking to you about it first? That's extremely toxic. They haven't even asked for forgiveness. They just assumed you'd all act like it never happened, and they could move on without apologizing. And if on the tiniest chance this was grief and misplaced anger and an honest mistake, what exactly have they done to atone and to clear OP's good name? Besides, doesn't sound like they supported their daughter-in-law and grandkids after their son's death either. So, that whole family supporting family, that's going great, isn't it? I'd also inform your girlfriend what went down so they can't contact her and try to get to see the grandkid that way. They're too likely to portray you as being spiteful and them as victims who only made a teensy-weensy mistake. Way too many people with good relationships with their parents don't understand the need for zero contact with crap parents. You're not holding a grudge over a misunderstanding. You're holding a grudge over how they responded to that misunderstanding. If they don't understand how badly they treated you, let alone feel apologetic, I wouldn't want to keep them in my life either. There was no misunderstanding. There was intentional slander. Your parents don't sound like good people, and you should keep them away from your new family. This may sound harsh, but what if they don't like your parenting? Are they going to tell everyone you abuse your kid? You have to keep stuff like that in mind. They don't ask questions. They just speak, not even caring about the potential consequences. And that can and will cause problems. You have every right to keep them away from your new little family. Congratulations and good luck. My parents divorced when I was 5 because my dad cheated on my mom with Emma. The divorce was pretty damn awful for me. I remember my dad being angry that my mom was exposing his affair to the courts and attempting to get primary custody with him every other weekend. My mom was pretty wrecked by what dad did. I remember a lot of sadness and crying as well as some anger. My dad and Emma moved in together during the divorce, and I still remember how he introduced Emma to me and how messed up it was. He told me he loved Emma and wanted me to love Emma too, and let her be my mom and how she would be such a good mom too. Emma was all about asking me to be her daughter and stuff. Then at their house, I would hear them saying that my mom was trying to hurt them and was being mean. My mom sat me down during the whole thing and told me that she and my dad didn't like each other anymore. And she and Emma also had problems. But she told me that I could feel however I wanted to. She didn't want me to dislike anyone for her sake. She told me so I was aware of why certain things wouldn't be happening going forward and why she might be quieter around them. But it was okay for me to like and love and be happy with them and never be afraid to show that. It took a few months for me to want to try, but it quickly ended because Emma started introducing herself as my mom. This was before the divorce was even finalized. I did spend an equal amount of time with both parents for a few years, but when I was 12, I chose to live with my mom. A couple of years before, Emma got pregnant and lost the baby and almost died. It made Emma infertile, and I remember my dad telling me about it and how she would need me more than ever. I think Emma held on to some hope that growing up would make me feel different about her, and she would experience some of the more fun mom stuff with me someday. But I just tolerate her and my dad. And it's hard some days. They never stopped hating my mom and saying it around me. Now I'm engaged and already I have the venue decided, invitations picked out, dress purchased, bridesmaid's dress bought, and I even did the flowers and went shopping with my mom for her outfit. I also asked my mom to walk me down the aisle and do a mom-daughter dance with me. I have not included Emma in anything. And when I told my dad I had asked my mom to do the dance and walk with me, Emma burst into tears and ran off, according to him. They say I should have carved out a space for her in all this. That after her never being able to carry her child, I should be trying to include her more. And the lack of a special place for her makes me an idiot. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Your father and Emma both contributed to ruining your mother's marriage. They had an affair. They spoke bad things about her. And they expected you to have a good relationship with the woman who mistreats your mom. You're not Emma's replacement child. It's their fault that you don't have a relationship with her. And let's be honest. If she could have a child, she wouldn't be bothering you. You are allowed not to have a relationship with her. You don't have any responsibility to deal with her feelings and pretend that the last didn't happen. They not only destroyed the marriage, but tried to alienate Opie from her mom. I'm glad Opie and her mom are close. Emma and Dad sound like they're lucky to even be invited. You're not obligated to curve out a space for Dad's wife, who doesn't even show your mom basic courtesies and still bat-mouths her. The old saying, "You've made your bed, so lie in it," comes to mind here. Your father destroyed you and your mom's life by not keeping it in his pants. And now he's angry that your life isn't going exactly the way he planned. I hope you and your mom dance with all the love in your hearts, enjoying your moment. Your father and his other woman will have to overcome it. My children, 18 male, teen male, and teen female, are all extremely talented. My eldest is a ballet dancer. The second is an athletic swimmer. And the third is a violin genius. I'm so proud of them and their achievements. I have photos, medals, trophies, etc. all over the house. I don't think this is weird or anything out of the ordinary. My mother's visiting and nothing significant happened. So my husband and I decided to take the kids out. We asked my mom if she wanted to come, but she said she was tired and wanted to rest. When we returned, we noticed a framed photo of my eldest son on stage, plus a few of his dance medals, two of my second son's swim meet medals, and another framed photo of my daughter playing violin, and one of her certificates were all gone. My mom quickly admitted that she took them down because she felt like I was showing off too much, and we were coming off as obsessed and snobby. Apparently, we're being taggy. To make matters worse, she decided to make fun of my eldest son for doing ballet as well. My husband asked her if she was being serious, but she just told us that she'd give the things back once she left. I started laughing in disbelief and told her to give the things back immediately as she was leaving now. She was upset. She gasped and told me that I had no right to kick her out as her daughter, and I was being disrespectful. But I told her that she was the one who disrespected me by doing something so ridiculous. I mean, who does that? My mom left and did give back the things she hid, but cursed my husband and me the whole time. She even made a Facebook post about how disrespectful and ungrateful children are. My sister is horrified that I kicked her out as she's our mother, older, and a woman in an unfamiliar town. But my mom always travels, so I don't know why it's such a big deal. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. What your mother did was extremely disrespectful and controlling. She had no right to take your things or insult you, and especially your son. She owes your entire family an apology. You should limit contact with her until she gives you that apology. You remove someone from your home when they disrespected your home and children. Moms don't get a pass to be cruel just because they're your mom. What did she think would be the result of her actions? That they would genuflect and tell her she's absolutely right and beg her to bestow the blessings of her wisdom? Even though I loved my mother dearly, I would have driven her to a motel to get her out of my house if she dared to do something so disrespectful to my family. I believe your home should be your sanctuary, the place in the world where you feel safest and most able to be yourself. Anyone violates that sanctuary for me, my husband, or my children, and they're out. Your mother sounds like a small, jealous person. She doesn't deserve to stay in your home. No sane grandparent would be upset that their grandchildren are talented. She's got a few screws loose up there. Do what restaurants do. Glue or screw everything down and put it on permanent display, then invite her back. I wish my parents celebrated my accomplishments half as much. My mother-in-law, 58, loves my 28th female garden. However, she sneaks into it and loves to read books, have picnics, and pick flowers too. I'm perfectly fine with this. It's just that my dog, who will be called Diego, also loves being in the garden. He poops, plays, runs around, and lays in the garden. Again, this would be fine. It's just that mother-in-law is allergic to dogs. I tell her I'm letting Diego out to play or use the restroom, but she refuses to leave, saying that dog can wait or I'm allergic. Stuff like that. My husband doesn't mind having the dog use the grass mat in the sunroom, but it's become a problem when the whole room smells like dog poop. So, I let my dog go outside to do his business to combat this. Mother-in-law hates this. I explained the situation and told her she's no longer welcome if my dog is a health concern for her. She went insane. She started screaming and yelling, saying she's entitled to be in the garden. I told her to leave. The following day, I went to go feed Diego when I realized I couldn't find him. I frantically searched everywhere, but still, Diego was gone. I called my husband, who's been in Florida the past week, to see if the cameras we have outside caught anything. I'm stupid and don't know the password to access them. And he said that D got in the car with mother-in-law and they sped off. I was angry. I hopped in my car and drove to mother-in-law's house to see what happened. And apparently, she took my dog to the pound. This psycho stole my dog and drove it to a pound, 30 minutes away. I called the pound and the police. The next thing I knew, I was being yelled at by all of my relatives on social media and thinking of pressing charges. Edit. For those wondering, yes, I did get Diego back. He's happily sleeping on the couch. You would not be the idiot if you pressed charges. She earned them. You would not be the idiot if you got a restraining order forcing your mother-in-law to stay 200 yards away from your home. She earned that too. It is your home, your dog's home. It's not her home. Absolutely this. I'm so furious on your behalf. Press charges and get a restraining order. She is way past boundary setting. Also, it's strange that the 30-minute drive to the pound with the dog didn't cause any allergy problems. But if the dog is peeing in the same garden with her, it's unbearable. Holy cow, I hadn't even realized it. But she fakes being allergic if she had no trouble spending 30 minutes, plus the return in the same car in a very enclosed space with the dog. I think mother-in-law doesn't like dogs, or just wants to mark her territory. Not the idiot in any way, shape, or form. Your mother-in-law is not entitled to your garden. It's your property, not hers. And what she did was literally theft, an actual crime, a criminal offense. You have every right to be angry. And if you want to press charges, you're well within your rights. But again, I can't overstate how strongly you are not the idiot. I got married recently, and it was a beautiful day. We considered not inviting my mother because she's not a happy, supportive person in our lives and has many issues with my wife. But ultimately, we decided to invite her just because it's a big day and her brand of crazy is very quiet and not attention-seeking. I take my wife's side almost all of the time, and definitely every time in front of my mother. But one thing my wife does that drives me crazy is nitpicking my mother's clothing and assuming there's always a subliminal message. For example, she was offended by what she wore to the rehearsal dinner because the dress had small cutouts on the side. But one of her bridesmaids wore a fancier crop top and skirt combo, and she wasn't offended by that. She was also bothered by the headband my mom wore to our engagement dinner because it was more bejeweled than the ring, and my mother-in-law ripped it off my mom's head and tried it on. Anyway, my mom wore black to her wedding. I've never even heard of that being a taboo thing. My dad got married a couple of years ago, and the bridesmaid dresses were black. My wife said it was offensive because it was a funeral color, but my mom was wearing a nice lacy one-sleeve cocktail dress, not something drab like you would wear to a funeral. She asked me to ask her to either change or leave. I might be the idiot because she was the bride and it was her day, but I said no. I explained that I don't think she did that on purpose, and while I know she's been a jerk in the past, I think she would have worn that even if she liked us. My wife was understandably hurt and felt that I didn't have her back on her big day. I even offered to pay to have the color changed in photos, though thankfully my mom just disappeared during family pictures because she either didn't want to be in them or assumed she wasn't wanted. Not the idiot. I've worn black dresses cocktail style to weddings. It's not like your mom wore a mourning veil and covered herself head to toe like a Victorian widow. I think your wife is oversensitive due to past history and sees insults even when there aren't any. I immediately thought of a white or ivory formal gown that might be confused for a wedding dress. A fancy black lace cocktail dress is the standard choice for anyone attending a wedding, even the mother of the groom. Opie owes his mom an apology and an honest conversation with his wife about her attitude towards Opie's mom. There was probably some prior misunderstanding or problems, but those need to be addressed or Opie will be caught in the middle for the rest of their lives. However, I think there is a reason your mom doesn't support your relationship. In this case, it sounds like a bratty daughter and her mom are involved. Your mother-in-law was rude at the rehearsal, and if your mom is wearing something just as fancy as others involved in the wedding, your wife is looking for a reason to hurt her, and it's just as much your